Assalamu alaikum friends. So, as you all know, the first step to crack an interview is to catch the eye of your recruiter via a decent resume. In this video, I will share some guidelines to create a good resume to increase your chances of being shortlisted. These are purely recommendations and may vary country to country, so I advise you also do some self-research while you create your resume. So let's get started. The first guideline is that the resume needs to be short and crisp as possible, conveying the most important keywords. I'd like to stress here that a recruiter will take only 10 seconds glance, and that's the game to catch the eye of the recruiter. We see next how to do that. The first thing that comes to your mind is a format. People generally want to go for a fancy format but don't really know that simple is always the best. The format should be a simple chronological form so that it passes the ATS tool. Now further in this video we will see what an ATS compliant resume is, but for now please make note that a chronological resume is the best format. Further, I will also be sharing a link to a good resume format so that you can leverage that. It will be available in the description box below. And make sure while you download it, you download the chronological format only. So let's move on next to the different components of a standard resume. What you see right now is we can start with the contact information, followed by a resume summary, work experience, education, additional skill sets, certificates, licenses, etc. So now we will go into detail of each of these. Let's get started with the contact information. Your name is the first thing that needs to be outlined on the top. You want your name to basically stand out, and so call it out in a larger font. That's the first important thing. Secondly, your mailing address, just in case the recruiters need to post something out. Next point that you need to include is your telephone number. Make sure you also include your country code in there. The next one is your email address. Make sure that you have a professional email ID. I'd suggest having your name, period, last name, @xyz.com. Do not use random Gmail account names that make you look kiddish, like hero45 at Gmail account. Please keep it professional. The next thing that you can do is to add your professional profile, a LinkedIn link. It is always a good practice to do that, but make sure that you keep your profile updated as well. So having that said, we will move to the next thing that you need to include is your resume summary. So this section, it's not a whole lot of what you do basically. It's just a small 2 to 3 lines of your overall experience, in which domain, highlight and quantify it, quantify it in terms of the value that you've brought to your organization. The next is your work experience that you need to call out. So make sure you write a relevant work experience that is catered to the particular job posting that you're applying for. This is one of the most essential areas where the recruiter reads and you don't want to overburden a lot of content in it. So keep it short and crisp. Keep your always keep your experience in descending order. Always have the latest experience first, followed by your previous ones. And this particular section of your resume should consist of your job title, your company name, location, dates of experience, and followed by detailing maximum 3 to 5 bullets of your duties, achievements. Again, the idea is to be precise here. Don't just overburden it. Next, here's a very good example of those 3 to 5 bullet points that you need to jot. Target the action that you took in your organization that was result oriented. So make sure you quantify things and specifically state the duties that you had performed. Moving next is to list down your education. So this section is also equally important in, it highlights your education background. Make sure again you include the latest education first, followed by the previous ones. Write your university name, your college school name, and also in your location, date of graduation, and your degree. But just in case you are already a graduate, then you need not write about your HSC or SSC details. Graduation is just fine there. So moving next is your additional skill sets. This is the section that basically lures the eyes of the prospective employer. So when you highlight any additional skill set, it speaks about the most relevant and strongest talent that you have, that the organization can leverage. So it's always good to add yours. Now before, like we've completed these five basic things, that most essential components of the resume. So try to fit these all on in one page if possible. Okay. So now moving next is, if you remember in the start of the video, I recommended an ATS compliant resume. So now we'll actually detail out what exactly is ATS compliant. So let's start with an example. um, a Fortune 500 company has a job opening. So obviously the human resource manager won't manually walk through those 250 300 applications, right? So they have this system, this tool that they use to scan the resume basis to some preset criterias. This particular system is the application tracking system, and of course we don't know what these company specific criterias are, but the system filters the resume and narrows it down to the most relevant resumes. So probably out of the 250 300 applicants, it may drill down to what, to 20 to 30 final resumes. I'm just throwing a number here. So but what I'm trying to explain is, your goal is to have your resume pass successfully through this particular system. So let's look further on, what is an ATS compliant resume. The first point to note is, use a chronological resume, which I had also said in the start of the video. Secondly, using the correct font, a machine readable standard font, like Arial, Times New Roman, Verdana, Calibri. Use these standard fonts and try to keep the font size as between 10 to 12. You don't want to go completely on the higher side or on the lower side. You want to keep it readable. And also don't go for any fancy sort of cosmetic changes around your resume. Keep it as simple as possible. At the most you can use bold, italic, or capitalizing things, but I personally don't prefer to capitalize. It sounds like you're shouting, so it's very loud. Try not to capitalize. You can also use colors, but again don't make it a rainbow. Stick to one or two colors at the most to keep it decent. Okay. So we also will look next into using the correct set of keywords. So that is the game changer. That is the most critical thing actually. Using the correct set of keywords, every detailing that you do in your resume, choose the right set of keywords, be it your job title, your education, whatever it is. Look out for the job description of the position that you're applying for, and tailor your resume for each job application as per the job description. So let's say the job description is stressing on the word keyword. You've read it in the job description, so leverage that keyword. Use that same keyword in your resume. Tailor your resume for each different position that you're applying. So that what happens is, when the ATS basically tries to walk past through your resume, it passes because that keyword could be one of the preset criterias that may help you pass. So try to make the best use of keywords. it it's the way to get through the ATS. So let's look at few examples. Let's say your job title, if it's customer service manager, okay, currently in the organization, but the opening is for customer care manager, so try to use that as your resume name. Or for that matter, let's say your education, you've done an MBA, so instead of writing MBA, it doesn't really hurt to mention Masters of Business Administration bracket M period B period A, right? So try to make best use of keywords there. Okay, so guys, now we'll look at what are the things that you need to avoid so that the ATS doesn't reject your resume. Most ATS don't recognize tables, text boxes, columns, images. Anything written around in the header and the footer areas are also not recognized. So page borders, lines, symbols, or for that matter even special characters may go unrecognized. So those are the things that you need to avoid. And of course, make sure that you do a good spell check. You don't want to end up messing around with important keywords, right? So that was overall about ATS. I hope you got the gist about it. Now, before you send out the resume, lastly, the very important step is to proofread your resume. Line by line, word by word, read it loud. If need be, have a friend or a colleague proofread for you. And also try to see if it is printer friendly. If you send it out, the you know the if you send it out, the recruiter might basically print it, and we don't want it to look messed up after printing, right? So those are few things that you also need to take care about. So lastly, here's a very good example of a chronological resume. If you see, it's detailing out every section in one page. So try to leverage something like this. So friends, those were the general guidelines, and I'm basically wrapping it up here. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to careerguidance72@gmail.com, and we will try to connect with you to get your questions answered shortly. Thank you very much.